What if everything you thought you knew about your life was a lie? What if the truth was never hidden, but waiting, right in front of you? For the moment, you'd finally open your eyes. This is your moment. A shift is happening, and only those ready to answer the call will rise. You're not just here to watch, you're here to awaken, to reclaim your purpose, to disrupt the old and step into a reality where you write the rules. Welcome to the unveiling. Are you ready to see? The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Just as a solitary flame resists the pressing night, so too does your spirit emerge, unwavering and steadfast. You were chosen not to walk among the shadows, but to rise above them, illuminating the path for others to follow. This moment was not crafted by chance. It is a divine appointment, a calling to stand boldly in the truth you were destined to carry. The illusion they once clung to, like brittle leaves against a strong wind, is coming undone. Every falsehood, once layered with precision, now crumbles, exposing their intentions for all to witness. The walls they built, fortified with secrecy, begin to split, and beneath those cracks lies a fragile foundation they can no longer hide. You, once tangled in their web of manipulation, have shattered free. The maze they designed to confine you has lost its power, and their carefully constructed plans falter under the weight of their unraveling. Their confidence, once a weapon they wielded with precision, now reveals its hollow core. This is no accident. It is the turning of the tide, a divine shift that cannot be undone. You've stepped beyond their reach, carrying a presence that speaks of a new creation, a truth they can neither control nor contain. The tides have turned, and you now take your rightful place, steering a vessel forged through trials and tempered by unwavering resolve. The ember they thought would fade has become an all-consuming fire, a force nurtured by divine strength. You no longer shrink before life's storms. Instead, you rise to meet them, bold and unyielding. Your voice carries the authority of someone who has walked through the furnace and emerged transformed. Each word you speak bears the weight of authenticity, carving through the noise with the clarity of purpose. This is no longer a story of survival. It is one of triumph, of stepping into the role you were destined to fulfill. No longer do you bear the weight of deceit or bend beneath the pressure of manipulation. Those who once thrived in your hesitation now face the undeniable force of your presence. Their whispered provocations, their calculated games, dissolve against the strength you now wield. But you do not retaliate with malice or anger. Instead, you move with a calm determination, a quiet authority that dismantles their pretenses. Your words, deliberate and precise, pierce through to the truth, clearing the path for what is real and lasting. The room shifts around you. The atmosphere bends to the strength of your certainty. Those who once sought to undermine you now falter, their confidence fractured under the weight of the undeniable transformation within you. This is a new chapter, a divine rewriting of your story. You've stepped into a role that defies expectation, a life that reflects divine purpose and unstoppable momentum. The trials you faced were never meant to break you. They were the fires meant to refine you. Now you stand as living proof of what faith and persistence can accomplish. You are not defined by the lies others spoke over you, nor by the schemes they crafted. You are defined by the truth of who you are and the undeniable power that now moves within you. Step boldly into this moment, for you are no longer the person who bends to the storm. You are the one who commands it, directing its force into something new and glorious. And as the cracks in their foundation widen, as the old ways give way to the new, you stand unshaken, firmly planted in the purpose for which you were created. This is your time, a moment not simply to endure, but to rise, to thrive, and to claim the life that was always waiting for you. Change is no longer a distant murmur. It is a force sweeping through, undeniable and resolute. Those who once thrived on your hesitation, wielding control through subtle jabs and covert manipulation, now face an unshakable reality they cannot ignore. Their old tactics, carefully masked provocations, and faintly disguised jibes fall flat against the unyielding presence you've become. You meet them not with hostility, but with a composed resolve that dismantles their confidence. Your words, steady and deliberate, strike with the precision of a craftsman's chisel, carving through the noise to reveal only truth. The room shifts under the weight of your certainty, leaving no space for pretense. Their once assured demeanor fractures, unable to withstand the quiet power you now exude. The realization hits them like an unrelenting wave. They can no longer tether you to their shallow games. You've become a force they never foresaw, a steady gale that sweeps through illusions, leaving clarity in its path. Your self-assurance is no longer a passive defense, but a decisive tool, dismantling deceit and illuminating the unvarnished truth. What they misread as pliability was, in fact, depth, patience rooted in resilience, not submission. They once mistook your pursuit of peace for frailty, unaware it was a deliberate strength. Now, the layers of their assumptions unravel like forgotten whispers in the wind. Your quiet observance was never a void, but a purposeful pause, a choice to bide your time until the weight of your voice could reshape everything. The time has come. Those who once relied on your willingness to forgive and your tendency to absorb their manipulative tactics are now facing a version of you they cannot predict or control. A relative tries their old routine, wielding guilt like a weapon, expecting you to fold as before, but their efforts fall flat. You meet their attempts with a quiet, resolute gaze, dismantling their words with precision and composure. Your response feels like an immovable wall against which their schemes crumble. They're left bewildered, grappling with the undeniable truth. You've stepped into a power they can no longer distort. What they once labeled as weakness now stands as your most formidable strength, a boundary they cannot cross. In the professional arena, you find yourself fortified with an unshakable resolve, leaving no room for self-doubt. The days of questioning your right to take up space are gone, replaced by an understanding of the battles you are truly fighting. When a colleague, known for their sly attempts to claim credit, tries the same maneuver, your response is swift and unhesitating. With clarity and calm, you expose the truth in a way that shifts the entire atmosphere of the room. It's not aggression that captures attention, but the undeniable certainty in your words, piercing through the charade like a beacon. The dynamic changes not because of disruption, but because your authenticity has demanded recognition, forcing everyone to confront a reality they can no longer avoid. The co-worker who once thrived on bending reality in their favor now finds themselves cornered, unable to spin the story as they once did. This transformation is undeniable, a power cultivated through growth and resilience that doesn't just withstand the storm, but changes its direction entirely. Their tactics falter under the intensity of your clarity as their once effective strategies dissolve in the light of your truth. The environment around you adjusts to your presence, no longer accommodating the games they once played with ease. Those who thought they had you figured out are now left struggling to reconcile the person they see with the one they thought they controlled. By dismantling their illusions, you've unveiled your own strength, a force neither subtle nor ignorable. Their attempts to manipulate crumble under your steady resolve, leaving no room for deceit to take root. An old companion who once excelled at twisting perceptions tries their familiar patterns, hoping to draw you back into uncertainty. But the moment they attempt to rewrite the narrative, your response is swift and surgical, exposing every layer of their falsehoods. Like a reflection they can't avoid, your words cut through their pretense, leaving them scrambling for the control they no longer possess. Their confidence erodes in the face of your transformation as they come to terms with a sobering truth. The dynamic they relied on has disappeared. You've stepped into a new realm of self-possession, and their strategies hold no weight here. The ripples of your growth radiate outward, reshaping every connection and forcing even the most manipulative to face the reality of your strength. For the spirit God gave us does not make us timid, but gives us power, love, and self-discipline. Like the first light of dawn, breaking through the longest night, there is no denying the clarity that now shines within you. This is not a fleeting spark or a borrowed strength. It is a divine assurance, a promise etched into the very core of your being. You were not created to walk in shadows, nor to shrink in the presence of falsehood. Instead, you are called to stand firm, guided by an authority greater than any deception. The gathering unfolds as it always has, pleasant on the surface, filled with small talk and empty pleasantries. Yet beneath the veneer, an individual emerges, the same one who once thrived on sowing falsehoods about you. Their smile is practiced, their approach calculated, expecting the familiar response: polite silence, avoidance, retreat. But this time, something profound has shifted. You are no longer who you were before. The weight of divine truth anchors you, and with it comes a courage that does not falter. You meet their gaze, unshaken, and the words you speak are steady and deliberate. Each syllable cuts through their facade, leaving no room for their practiced pretenses to take hold. They falter, not in anger, but in startled recognition. What they encounter is not simply you, but the unshakable presence of a power that transcends human understanding. The ground beneath their confidence begins to shift, and for the first time, they see clearly. Their manipulations hold no sway here anymore. This moment is not one of conflict, but of revelation. You do not attack, nor do you gloat. Instead, you stand firm, embodying the strength of one who has been refined by trials and elevated by grace. The clarity you possess is not born of pride, but of divine purpose, a gift sharpened by wisdom and honed through experience. Their words, once so carefully chosen to entangle, fall flat. Their strategies, once so effective, now crumble against the unyielding truth that radiates from within you. It becomes undeniable. The season of silence and endurance has passed. You are no longer merely observing, no longer tolerating the lies and half-truths. The veils have been lifted, and with clear vision, you see everything as it truly is. This clarity is your weapon, not to harm, but to illuminate. It dissects their deceptions with precision, not out of vengeance, but as a declaration that light has come to expose what can no longer remain hidden. And yet, the power within you is not your own. It is a reflection of something greater, a divine assurance that goes before you and surrounds you. This presence transforms even the mundane into sacred ground. Every interaction, every moment becomes an opportunity to walk in purpose and to let your life testify to the power of truth and grace. In the stillness that follows, they retreat, left to confront the reality of their crumbling facade. But you remain steadfast. This moment is not the end. It is a beginning, a new chapter where you walk with the quiet authority of someone who knows their strength is rooted in something eternal. You are no longer bound by the whispers of deception or the weight of false narratives. Instead, you carry a freedom that cannot be taken, a courage that cannot be shaken, and a purpose that will not waver. This is your time, your calling. Step boldly into it, knowing that the strength within you is not your own, but a reflection of a divine presence that empowers and sustains you. The lies that once sought to define you have lost their power, and the truth of who you are shines brighter than ever. You were chosen for this moment. Walk in it, unshaken and unafraid. When a colleague infamous for their manipulative tendencies attempts to lure you into their familiar spiral of complaints and blame, they expect the same pattern of indulgence. But the person standing before them is no longer the one they manipulated with ease. Your response, calm yet firm, unravels their pretense, each word exposing the games they thought they had perfected. Without raising your voice or showing hostility, you confront their behavior head-on, forcing them to acknowledge the reality they worked so hard to obscure. The sudden realization on their face, a mixture of shock and discomfort, marks the moment they understand the truth. You are no longer part of their distorted narrative, and their control has been permanently severed. You've risen into a space of undeniable strength, where the control others once wielded over you has dissolved completely. The shift in your presence sends ripples through every interaction, forcing those who underestimated you to confront the reality they avoided. Their strategies, once so effective, now falter in the face of your unshakable resolve. What once seemed impossible is now a living truth. You are no longer bound by their games. The transformation within you is undeniable, fueled by a power beyond comprehension that illuminates your path and strips away falsehoods. The weight of this clarity is evident in every step you take, leaving no room for doubt or manipulation. The vision you hold of yourself is being rebuilt from the ground up. Every lie and doubt that once constrained you, now dismantled and discarded. The self-criticism that once whispered in your mind has been silenced, replaced by an unwavering understanding of your worth. This newfound strength is not just internal, it radiates outward, a light that refuses to be dimmed. At a gathering, when a familiar voice attempts to pierce your confidence with their routine jabs, they find themselves disarmed. The words they've wielded as weapons in the past fall lifeless, unable to penetrate the fortress of self-assurance that now defines you. Your calm response, a quiet, unyielding acknowledgement of your truth, leaves them stunned. Their influence over you has vanished, and with it, their ability to diminish you. The transformation is absolute. Their attempts to critique or belittle are powerless against the unwavering sense of self you now carry. No longer tethered to their judgment, you've stepped into a strength that cannot be shaken. Their discomfort is a reflection of their loss of control, as they grapple with a truth they cannot change. You've embraced who you are, and no opinion or insult can sway the brilliance of your light. You stand firm, grounded in a confidence that defies their attempts to bring you down, leaving them to face the irrelevance of their efforts in the wake of your transformation. They no longer hold sway over you, for you've risen to a place where their influence cannot reach. Those who once thrived on your agreement, who twisted your kindness to suit their own needs, are now confronted by a version of you they never anticipated. The quiet acceptance they once relied on has been replaced with a steadfast voice, one that refuses to waver. Where once your boundaries were pliable, they now stand firm, unyielding to the demands of others. You are no longer sacrificing your peace to maintain theirs. You've claimed full sovereignty over your choices. Their expectations crumble as they realize the old dynamics are gone. When familiar faces present their plans, fully expecting you to follow along without question, their assumptions are met with something they cannot dismiss, a calm but resolute refusal. There's no room for debate, no need for justification. Your response carries a power that is clear and final, drawing an unmistakable line they cannot cross. Their disbelief hangs in the air, a silent acknowledgement of how deeply they underestimated you. The control they once wielded over your actions dissolves as they struggle to comprehend the shift before them. Their surprise, however palpable, is not yours to manage. You've freed yourself from their grasp, and in doing so, you've forced them to face an undeniable truth. Their influence has no place in your life anymore. Your resolve is now a fortress, one they cannot breach, and the games they once played now fall lifeless at your feet. When I was a child, I talked like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put the ways of childhood behind me. Life's divine rhythm often brings us back to places we've walked before, not as a punishment, but as a testament to who we've become. Picture a tree, once small and fragile, weathering storms and droughts. Over time, its roots grow deeper, its branches stretch higher, and when the same storm returns, it no longer shakes the way it once did. So too are you now rooted and unshakable. These moments aren't here to test your strength. They are here to reveal it. The familiar faces of your past, those who once held sway over your decisions or dimmed your light, will sometimes reappear. Like actors rehearsing old scripts, they assume their performance will still hold power. They rely on the charm, manipulation, or shared history that once granted them control. But this time, their act meets a different audience. They find themselves standing before a version of you that they do not recognize, a version shaped by growth, fortified by lessons, and empowered by divine purpose. When they step forward with their familiar tactics, expecting compliance or appeasement, you do not respond in anger or fear. Instead, you speak with calm, unwavering clarity. Your words, like a door closing firmly yet gently, make it clear that their role in your story has ended. The space they once occupied no longer exists. Their attempts to manipulate, to reopen old wounds, crumble before the reality of who you've become. You are no longer bound by the threads of their influence. You are free, standing firmly in the present, no longer tethered to the past. This is not about revenge or bitterness. It is about truth. The transformation within you is undeniable, and it shines in every action, every word. What they encounter is a strength that does not falter, a peace that cannot be disturbed, and a purpose they cannot diminish. The power they once wielded now feels hollow in their hands, as their strategies fall apart against the impenetrable wall of your resolve. You do not engage in their games because you have outgrown them. The person they once knew, the one they could sway, no longer exists. Their shock, their confusion, is not your burden to carry. It is the natural consequence of facing someone who has stepped fully into their calling, someone who knows their worth is not defined by others. You have been tested by fire, and what remains is stronger, purer, and unbreakable. The trials you endured were not in vain. They refined you, prepared you, and brought you to this moment. So now, when life places you in a familiar scenario, it is not to trap you, but to allow you to showcase the work that has been done within you. This is not a return to the old, but a demonstration of the new. You are not who you were, and no one can diminish the progress you have made. You stand as proof that growth is possible, that transformation is real, and that no chain is too strong to be broken by faith and perseverance. Let this encounter remind you of the strength you carry. Let it affirm the distance you've traveled and the depth of the foundation you've built. The past may knock at your door, but you are not obligated to open it. You are free to move forward, carrying only what serves your purpose and leaving behind what no longer belongs. This is your time to stand firm, to walk boldly, and to claim the future that has been waiting for you all along. You've transcended, not merely by rejecting their attempts, but by standing firm in the undeniable truth of your renewal. Their tactics, once effective, now feel futile as you've risen beyond their reach. Each step of your journey has reinforced a confidence that no longer bends or breaks. This is not merely resistance, it is the manifestation of a transformation so complete that the chains of yesterday have no power in your present. The chapter of manipulation and control in your life has closed forever. Those who once thrived on bending your will to suit their schemes now find their influence shattered, powerless against the strength you've embraced. The illusions they relied upon have been stripped away, exposing both their motives and the unshakable value you now see in yourself. The confidence that radiates from you isn't fleeting. It's an unyielding armor, forged through trials and victories, leaving no room for their deceit to take hold. When a manipulative family member tries their familiar tactics, hoping to pull you back into patterns of appeasement, they're met with something entirely unexpected. Your calm, decisive refusal is resolute, carrying a clarity that leaves no space for misinterpretation. There's no anger, no explanation, just a firm boundary that speaks louder than words. Their confusion, mingled with frustration, reveals how deeply they underestimated the transformation you've undergone. Their control, once so easy to exert, now crumbles like sand, slipping through their fingers. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Just as the morning sun dispels the longest night, your transformation radiates a clarity that leaves no space for the shadows of the past. What once held you captive has been rendered powerless, and the tools they relied upon to control you now lie dull and ineffective. They stand before you, attempting the same strategies, expecting the same results. But the person they confront is no longer the same. Their calculated moves, once so effective, now crumble against the unshakable presence you've become. This is not a confrontation born of conflict. It is a moment of realization. For them and for you. Their influence has waned, their schemes unraveled, and you have stepped fully into your authority. This strength within you is not merely the result of endurance, it is a declaration of your transformation. No longer silenced by fear or hesitation, your voice carries the authority of someone who knows their worth. With every word, every choice, you cut through deception like a light piercing through the densest fog. The balance of power has shifted, and it is you who now dictates the terms of your path. What once tethered you now feels like a faint shadow, unable to touch the brilliance of your newfound freedom. You walk a path defined not by their manipulations, but by your confidence and clarity. This is more than a victory. It is the fulfillment of who you were meant to be, a testament to the strength and light that has always been within you. Continue forward with assurance, knowing that the battles of the past have forged you into someone unstoppable. The control they once held has been extinguished, replaced by the brilliance of a light they cannot dim. What lies ahead is yours to shape, and with each step, you reaffirm the truth of who you've become. You're no longer bound by the chains of the past. What once held power over you has crumbled, and in its place stands the unstoppable force that is you. Remember this: every battle, every scar, every triumph has forged your light into something they can never extinguish. The future is yours to command. Go out there, shape it, own it, and never let anyone tell you who you're meant to be. This is your moment, so take it and set the world on fire.